YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with Week 4 score predictions for every single game. We do this video every single Wednesday. Also have straight up picks with the boys of the Goat House. That's every Tuesday night. Power rankings are early every Tuesday. Plenty more content. We got you covered for the full NFL season. So please subscribe. Trying to reach that 60K goal would be much appreciated. If you subscribe, click that like button, turn notifications on. Follow that Twitter. Always talking NFL every single day. Live tweeting during games as well. It's a must follow. Instagram, podcasts are every Wednesday night. And then we have a Patreon as well. We also started up some fantasy start 'em sit 'em videos where you guys can ask who you should start, and that goes through the Twitter and becomes a video here on YouTube. So we got a lot going on here. So check it all out. Please subscribe. And for that Patreon here, a lot of bonus content. So I do my score predictions right here. In this video, Junior has his score predictions on the Patreon. I have my locks of the week, bets of the week, and we've been doing pretty well on those. College football score predictions, updated playoff predictions will start soon. We'll be updated every single week. Extra, bonus content, and then Discord access. Plenty more. Week 4 score predictions. First game. It's an interesting one, to say the least. Thursday Night Football, Broncos at Jets. I have the Broncos winning 20-16. Probably the toughest game to pick, this week, actually. I was considering the Jets, at home, prime time. You expect them to have the better quarterback in this game, but Sam Darnold has not been playing good at all, not even close to good. Now Brett Rippon is the quarterback of the Broncos, former Boise State Bronco there. So we'll see how he does. And it's a pick. There's no favorite in this game here. So I'm gonna go with the Broncos though. Even though they have a long list of injuries as what the Jets do as well. I think the difference maker here is actually. I want to get specific. I think Melvin Gordon. I think that is the difference maker. I think the Broncos will run the ball a ton, and he'll run the clock. And, players like Melvin Gordon for the Broncos, I think they have more impact players. Melvin Gordon, guys like Jerry Jeudy, he's got to catch the ball, but Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, look at the defense, Justin Simmons. We'll see if Shelby Harris plays, Bradley Chubb. Sam Darnold could pick it up this game. He should pick it up. We'll see if he does. But there's really not much going. There's no big-time impact players. Quinnen Williams could be that guy. Marcus May's been playing all right for the Jets. But I think there's just more of those players that can take over this game for the Broncos. I think Melvin Gordon's the key guy here. So I do have the Broncos, but it's in New York. It's primetime ball. It's a must-win. It feels like a must-win for both teams here. But I think it's more of a must-win for the Jets because the Broncos are so beat up. They're down to their third quarterback, and they're probably going to put Blake Bortles in if Drew Lock can't get ready to go, but he's supposed to get ready to go soon. But I think, it's a must-win for the Jets. They got to pick it up for Adam Gase, for Sam Darnold to kind of save their careers here. This is kind of that game, but I'm going to go with the Broncos, 20-16 here. Next game, another very tough one to pick. Colts are -2.5 at the Bears. That's how the line works in these videos. So you see the away team and then the line for them at the home team here. I got 27-24 Bears. This is a toss-up game. I like Nick Foles for the Bears. And to add on top of that, it's going to be tough to game plan for anybody that – it's just a bad week to it's a bad draw of scheduling. It's just unlucky here to get – and they can win. The Colts can definitely win. But to get the Bears at this point, because there's really nothing to go off of Nick Foles besides a half of a game against the Falcons. But you really can't base things off of that. I think just game planning for what you saw there actually could hurt you a little bit. I was preaching this all offseason. Nick Foles is perfect for Matt Nagy's system. It opens up his playbook. He probably has a bigger playbook than most offensive coaches in the league, a more variety of plays. And it was kind of being limited because of Mitchell Trubisky's, I guess, lack of abilities or traits. Nick Foles is familiar with, running RPO, with running several different systems here. So the Bears playbook just got bigger. Well, it didn't really get bigger. It stayed the same, but they're going to use more from the playbook. Matt Nagy will use more. And the Colts really don't know what to expect. Their defense is on fire right now. But I think a little tougher task. Their defense can clutch up here. They could get some turnovers. But I think mainly a tougher task for the offense in this game. The offense was able to kind of be, game managers. Phillip Rivers, and that's been impressive that Phillip Rivers has actually been able to do that because he hasn't been able to do that in the past. But they're kind of, they weren't doing anything that explosive, that great. They've been running the ball all right. And, but they kind of, we're up. Let's keep this lead. Let's run the clock, and we'll keep punching the ball downfield. I don't think they're going to be able to do that this game. It's possible because the Colts defense can get turnovers, but I think it's going to be a little tighter game, so they're going to have to keep up with the Bears, and they very well can. But with the Bears defense, I expect them maybe to win the turnover battle here, and it's in Chicago, and it's going to be a tough offense to game plan for. So this should be a good game. Could go either way for sure. And the difference could be which quarterback, turns the ball over more. Rivers, Foles, I can see them both throwing a pick. I can see them both throwing maybe a couple. Foles just stepping in. Even if he throws a few or a couple in a game like this, I do think he definitely gives him a way better chance to win because he can push the ball downfield. Like I said, the playbook is definitely more open. There's more you can run with Nick Foles. They're going to take more shots with Nick Foles. So this should be a pretty good game here. Something that has been interesting is you actually, even though they're 3-0, it's surprising that you can actually move the ball pretty, not easily, but easier than expected against the Bears. So maybe the Colts offense takes off. It's a big game for them. But I do have the Bears. This should be a really good game, though. And then we got the next game is the Jags and the Bengals. I got the Bengals putting up 30. It might seem a little bold. I really don't think it is. Some people might think 30 is a lot. But I like the Bengals offense, how they match up against the Jaguars here. This is still, the offensive line's pretty bad, but this is still a very explosive offense with Joe Burrow, obviously, Joe Mixon, Bernard. We haven't seen too much of Joe Mixon, but I think he gets going in this game. But they have a number of wide receivers. You see they're starting to get T. Higgins going a little bit as well. They got a number of receivers, obviously. Tyler Boyd, I think this is going to be a pretty good game for him. Jaguars defense, the Jaguars, who are +3 at Cincinnati, by the way, but the Jaguars defense, or the Jaguars in general, kind of disappointed me last week against Miami. It is a new week, and they get a little more of offense going. I think it's a little easier game plan now than the first 2 weeks for the Jaguars offense. I expect a lot of man coverage here. The Bengals, don't have the best players for man coverage, but I think they'll be able to manage. I think they'll outscore the Jaguars in this game, and they get enough offense going. What stood out was the Jaguars defense just playing slow. They look pretty slow against the Dolphins. Maybe the Dolphins are fast. I do think the Bengals are fast, though. What to look out for, guys like Josh Allen and Clavon Chason, almost said Ngakoue for some reason, could actually get after Joe Burrow. Wouldn't really be a surprise. But I think what's mainly throwing off Burrow at times is interior pressure because it's a quicker trip to the quarterback, and the Jaguars really don't have interior pressure. So that I think favors the Bengals a bit, but maybe a guy like Josh Allen could have a day. But I like the Bengals a little better on both sides, but honestly in this game, especially at home, I got them getting their first win here. Another one that could go really either way, but I do got the Bengals putting up 30. Another really good game, Browns and Cowboys. I got a 7-point victory for the Cowboys, 34-27. The Browns are +4.5 against the Cowboys. And this is just two offenses right here. I think this is going to be somewhat of a shootout. I don't have a lot of trust in either defense right now. There are pieces on both defenses that I like, but in terms of a whole, a defense as a whole, I'm not too thrilled about them. But I think the biggest impact player in this game on the defensive side that could make the difference is actually Myles Garrett. And you see the beat-up Cowboys offensive line. We're used to being one of the better offensive lines of football, but it's beat up. So Myles Garrett can make that. And we've seen Dak. He's been playing pretty well, but he's been able to turn the ball over. He can turn the ball over. So Garrett could be the difference maker here and help his offense a lot. So that'd be a reason to pick the Browns. I just think the Browns, I don't know if they have necessarily a weakness, but I think they're, a weaker matchup for them is in a bad way is against another team that can outscore them, that can score, because it's a team that could keep up with you, but as soon as they get down, I worry about them coming back. I worry about their play calling once they're down by a good amount. They need to be able to have that dominant run game, which I think could start off pretty hot in this game, to be able to run that play action pass. And that could be the difference in this game. But if the Browns get off to a hot start up, they're favorites to win. If the Cowboys do the same, they're the favorites to win. That's definitely how this game will go. I guess that's how most games go. But I think it's extra important to get up early in this game because it's going to be a game of keep up. And the Browns don't want to be the ones trying to keep up. So I do trust the Cowboys offense a little more. And defensively, I don't really have a preference. I honestly think the Cowboys defense as a whole is a little better, even though stats won't say that right now. But then the Browns do have the big time game changer in Myles Garrett. But this should be a good game. I think both quarterbacks got to pretty much be flawless in a game like this, pretty close. So I trust Dak a little more. But I really like what Baker's done. I really like him in this new system. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good one in the future. I got the Cowboys, but once again, another game that really can go either way. In another one, I'd say Saints and Lions. The Saints are on a 2-game losing streak. The Lions just won a game against the Cardinals. It's a big-time win. And I got the Saints winning by 7, 31-24. It is -4 for the Saints, but it's one that's going to be close to that line there as well. It could be anywhere in a 3-point. I mean, really, the Lions could win as well. But the Saints, why they have been struggling, they can't really push the ball downfield, but that's really not the main reason. The main reason, their defense is not performing. It's a couple guys trying to carry this defense. The secondary is playing pretty poor, but the pass rush is playing, it's disappointing as well. They're not getting enough of pass rush. There is too much on Cam Jordan, so that's been hurting them a little bit. But at the same time, they haven't really had too much of a chance because quarterbacks are getting the ball out pretty quick on them. And that is kind of a knock on their secondary. Guys are getting open too fast is kind of what I've identified here. But I think they'll get a pass rush going a little bit on Stafford. Nothing ridiculous, but I think they get that going. I think the defense as a whole plays a little better in this game. But Stafford and company have the ability to push the ball on them. But I think the Saints just outscore them here. Patricia could be the guy here, even though he's getting he's taking a lot of smack as he should. He's still a pretty good defensive game planner. He actually is. So, you figure out how to cover Kamara, you figure out how to cover the small ball game. You might be in business, and they might figure out a way to do that. But it's you can figure out a way, but it's still, you're really not going to stop Kamara. You're only going to slow him down. And I think that will actually open up things downfield for the Saints. So I think we'll see them get more things going downfield as well in this game. It is in Detroit. The Saints are definitely beatable right now, so it's a game that can go either way. Do the Lions have enough on offense? AP played pretty well last week. I don't really trust them fully with the run game this week either. I got the Saints, but again, it's definitely going to be a good game here. Definitely going to be a good game. But the Saints kind of get out of this losing streak here with this one, in my opinion. Seahawks and the Dolphins, I think closer than most people would probably think. I was surprised by the line, though, so I think the guys over there in Vegas are somewhat thinking the same thing there. I was surprised it was under a touchdown. But it's in Miami. Miami's fresh off a pretty good win there, pretty dominating performance. Yeah, going against the Jags and going against the Seahawks, a little bit different there. But Brian Flores is a really good game planner on the defensive side there, and they're getting guys like Kyle Van Noy going. Ogba, even guys like Grugier Hill. Everybody's kind of getting going. They were without Byron Jones, last week, and we'll see if they get him back this week. But I still like this defense as a whole for the most part. I think it's on the underrated side. They have Christian Wilkins in there stopping the run, and Seahawks without Chris Carson. That's a big part of their game. But the biggest part of their game is Russell Wilson now throwing downfield. And it's gonna be tough to stop that. So I still gotta go roll with the Seahawks. They are the better team. I'm a little worried about their defense, though. Their defense is one of the worst in the league right now. So I think Fitzpatrick and these receivers could have a pretty good day here against the Seahawks. So I think a little, closer than you think in this game. Missing Carson, the defense not playing that good, but the Seahawks are the better team. They have the better impact players, so they'll take care of business here. I have them winning 33-28. The Seahawks are -6.5 in Miami in this game. Then we got the Chargers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, this one isn't really too much of a toss-up for me. The other ones kind of are, most of the other ones. But I got the Buccaneers taking care of business 28-17. I love the Buccaneers defense. It's been fantastic. I think maybe the Chargers defense being on the field a little too often in this game could push the Buccaneers offense to put up the points here. I don't think the offense goes too crazy. They're going to be without Godwin, obviously. But I think it's mainly the Buccaneers defense that helps them win this game. The defense has been very impressive, every level of it. Chargers, Melvin Ingram, we've seen that they took kind of a step back with him out last week. We've seen that last year as well. Chris Harris Jr. is out now as well, and they already were without Derwin James. So there's just not much going for the Chargers right now. It's a very tough task for Herbert in this game. I think the Buccaneers kind of control this game right off the bat, and they're probably going to start running the clock down and just keep that lead. They know the Chargers are not going to be really a come-from-behind team. So as soon as they get that pretty good lead, it's just going to be mainly just trying to run the clock. So the Buccaneers are -7. See Chargers +7 in Tampa. I got Tampa winning by 11 there. So them taking care of business. Should be one we all expect to go down, something like that. Ravens and Washington. The Ravens are minus 13 here, and I got them taking care of business, winning 34-16. Sloppy game from the Ravens last week, but they did play the Chiefs. Washington's without Chase Young. I think the Ravens get all their running backs involved, and they open the game up running the ball. Lamar can run. I don't know if they really have to use Lamar that much. Maybe early, but they're not going to overdo Lamar. I think they'll focus on getting the running backs the ball. I don't expect a whole bunch of passing from them, probably because they'll be up pretty quickly and they'll have a comfy lead and they'll just run the clock. So they'll play their game there, but I expect I don't know which running back. It almost feels like right now Gus Edwards is their best running back, but I think a mixture between Ingram, Edwards, Dobbins, kind of splitting those around. Maybe, because they'll be up pretty early. Maybe they get the rookie going, Dobbins, but it's been looking like Edwards has been their best option, honestly. But yeah, I want to see Haskins put a full game together. We haven't really seen, the first 2 weeks it was like really quiet in the first half of the first two games. Just 3 and outs, can't really get anything going. And then the second half of those games, looking pretty solid, pushing the ball, looking pretty solid. And third game was kind of hot and cold here and there. Wasn't halves. It was a big time play from Haskins and too many turnovers. Turnover here, turnover there. Then another big time playing here. So mainly negatives, obviously compared to positives. But if he could put together a full game, that could be something. They can upset a team like the Ravens. I think it's very unlikely though. And especially missing maybe their best player in Chase Young, already. That's pretty tough. So I think a pretty clear one. I got the Ravens taking care of business. Cardinals and Panthers should be somewhat of a high-scoring game here. Budda Baker is actually going to miss this game, so that can be in favor of the Panthers, pushing the ball downfield. But I got the Cardinals outscoring them in somewhat of a shootout here. A little disappointing last week against the Lions, but I think that's just one of those games. It's just going to pop up for a young team. Kyler Murray, turn the ball over, but I expect a much better game in this one. I think Kyler Murray will push the ball downfield. Then they'll use Drake a little more in this game compared to how they used him. They should have used him even more last game, in my opinion. He played pretty well. I trust the Cardinals offense a little more, but I have been liking the Panthers offense here. But that kind of goes on both sides there. I trust the Cardinals defense a little more as well here. I do think you can push the ball pretty easily on the Panthers defense, even though they played well last week. But that was a Chargers team that's struggling on an offense and a team that really just can't come from behind. So I got the Cardinals taking care of business here. I think they just slightly outplay them on both sides of the ball, and that's enough there. But Panthers offense, even without McCaffrey, they look pretty impressive, so they can pull off another one here this week. Vikings the Texans, I got this one's definitely a shootout. Consider putting the Texans in the 40s. That's a little much, but I got them right there. I got them scoring 38 points. I got the Vikings scoring. The Vikings are a really hard team to predict the score for because they've been scoring this many points. I think they scored 30 last week. Yeah, they lost 31-30 against the Titans, and they scored a good amount of points against the Packers, even though they lost both games. But then against the Colts, they couldn't do much. So which Vikings are going to show up? I think it's more on them rather than the defense they play. But they got the playmakers. You should worry about the offensive line for them. That'll be what's stopping them from pushing the ball. But they got the playmakers, so I do think they put up 30 points around there. They're plus 3.5 in Houston, but I got the Texans take care of business. The surprise 0-3 teams. I just look at both quarterbacks here, and I think both quarterbacks are kind of being held back a little bit because of the amount of pressure that they're facing. It's been a ridiculous amount of pressure, but and I think both quarterbacks will have more time in this game to throw than they have been, a little bit more time to throw than they have been in the past games. And, which quarterback do I trust more to kind of clutch up and make those big plays? It's definitely Deshaun Watson. So that's the difference here. I think Deshaun Watson has a pretty big game. The Vikings are dead last in run defense right now, so they can get David Johnson going as well. But I look at the speed. I think speed at receiver is a major factor against the Vikings. I think you look at Will Fuller and you look at Brandon Cooks. I think these guys will be open deep in this game, and that's what I'll look out for. They could look out for them to score, around 40 points, maybe 40 points. So, I like the Texans in this one. I'm pretty confident about it right now. But again, the Vikings might have more playmakers than the Texans. I'd say they definitely do have more playmakers, more impact players than the Texans. The Texans just have Deshaun Watson, and they do have impact players. But the speed matchup, I think is something that there for the Texans offense versus the Vikings defense. So we'll see. It's a big game for a guy like Yannick Ngakoue. He was starting to heat up last week, so if he can get after Watson, that could be the difference. And then Whitney Merciless needs to pick it up, but a guy like J.J. Watt too could really get after Kirk Cousins, could be the difference. So J.J. Watt's definitely the guy to look out for there. I got the Texans winning by 8, though. Next, we got the Giants and the Rams. Yeah, I got a pretty big win here. The Rams are favored by 12. I got them winning 35-17. Not only are they a much better team, I think the matchup definitely favors them. You look at the Giants, they're allowing a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones. What happens when Daniel Jones is pressured? He, if he's hit, he tends to fumble actually a bit, but if he's hurried, he tends to throw some picks as well, some bad ones. So, an interior pressure, I think, is what really throws him off. I don't think he's necessarily that bad at the edge rush pressure. I think he can kind of feel it. I think he can actually see it without seeing it sometimes. That's kind of the good thing, but it's just constantly after him on the outside. The Rams don't bring that great of an outside pressure, but Aaron Donald is the best of the best on the inside, and I think that will be a game changer. Try to force Daniel Jones out. Will he even be able to get out? And then you look at the Rams' strong secondary. I think they'll be able to make plays. They'll be playmakers back there. And I think the Rams offense really will have I think the weakness of the Giants defense specifically is kind of, quick offenses, good after the catch. And that's what I think of when I think of the Rams. They do their end arounds to Robert Woods. They do their quick slants to Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, anything. Those guys are fantastic after the catch. And Darrell Henderson looking really good too. So, I like the Rams all over the Giants. That's one better team, and the matchup says so here. Next game is the Patriots and the Chiefs. Yeah, I got the Chiefs scoring quite a bit of points. It's the best offense in the league. It's the best team in the league right now. I am very impressed with the Patriots. Cam Newton, good to see him healthy, playing very well. So many new faces on the Patriots, so much change that, yeah, I think people were confident they would get good at one point, but they're already good, quick adjustments. And that is what's extra impressive. I think that, the Chiefs are another situation where the Chiefs are the better team, but I think the matchup favors them quite a bit. I think it's somewhat similar, the Chiefs offense versus the Patriots defense, somewhat similar to the same scenario with the Ravens. The Ravens have a pretty good defense, and they don't get a lot of edge pressure, and they play a lot of man coverage. And they almost had to change their defense because how fast and how good the Chiefs are on offense. And the Patriots run a lot of man coverage as well. So I think the Chiefs would just be too fast for them. I think the way to continue to run that man coverage and be okay is if you get some good pressure. But the Patriots, I think Chase Winovich is playing pretty solid, but a tougher task this week. But the rest of the group, they lost Van Noy, they lost Collins, losing guys like that. I don't think they'll get enough pressure. Mahomes will have too much time, and those burners will be just too fast for the Patriots secondary, in my opinion. So that's why I got them scoring 34 points, even though the Patriots defense, really is better than allowing a team to score 34. It's just for matchup reasons here. But the Patriots can get things going. It's the same thing I say every week. It's the same thing. How do you beat the Chiefs? It's easier said than done, but I think you start with the ball, you run it down their throats, you get 7 right off the bat, and that doesn't even give you in the clear. You got to keep on doing it. You got to keep rolling. You got to keep that lead, make them keep up. And the Ravens were about to do it, and they went away from the run once they got inside the red zone, and that resulted in a field goal. And I think right off the bat, that was the game changer. The Patriots are pretty good at running the ball, pretty good at playing that small ball, even though they can throw downfield. That's a bonus too. So Cam could be running. Burkhead got going last week. Sony Michel got going. We'll see if James White comes back. But they got the ability to do that, to run it down their throats and put up 7, and they have the ability to surprise you with the deep ball. So if you look at the Patriots offense versus the Chiefs defense, they're very capable. And you look at now L'Jarius Sneed is hurt as well, so a cornerback out there. But so the Patriots offense is very capable against the Chiefs defense. It's mainly, and I got them scoring, that's a good amount of points right there. It's just mainly the Chiefs offense is that good, and it's a matchup problem, I think, for the Patriots. But it should be a really fun game. Really excited for that one. The Patriots are +7 in Kansas City there. Bills and Raiders. I like the Bills. I actually like the Raiders too, even though I'm predicting them to fall to 2-2. I still like the Raiders. The Patriots game doesn't really show how good the Raiders are. It was just a really bad matchup. I talked about it last week when I predicted the Patriots. It's the matchup just strongly favored the Patriots. So you can't really judge the Raiders too much off one game because of matchup reasons. But I like the Bills that much more. I think they're the better team right now, and I do think the matchup favors them in this game. I think it's somewhat similar to the Patriots. The Patriots had that strong secondary, which made Carr hang on to the ball a little longer than expected because guys weren't getting open as quick as they were against the Saints. I talked about this last week. And then that forced him, if he's standing in the pocket a little too long, that forced pressure to be on him. And Carr struggles a little bit with pressure. He's not going to play terrible or anything. And I think the same thing happens here. I think the Bills have a pretty good secondary. Not as good as the Patriots, though. So maybe not as bad as a matchup for the Raiders. But the Bills actually get pressure a little faster. It's weird. The Bills really don't get sacks, but they get instant pressure sometimes. And that could be the key against Derek Carr here and make him try to get the ball out quicker. And he'll play an okay game, but I think that could be the difference as well as I trust Josh Allen. I trust Devin Singletary. I really trust Stephon Diggs in his speed, in John Brown's speed against, and you see Cole Beasley step up last week with his quickness against this Raiders defense right here. So the Raiders aren't bringing enough pressure right now. Max Crosby is definitely carrying way too much of it. It seems actually when Arden Key was playing, he was getting some decent pressure, but they're still on the bottom end of the NFL in terms of getting to the quarterback. And Josh Allen, first you got to get after him, and then getting him is that next step. Very hard to do. So I think the Bills and Josh Allen will have really no problem throwing from the pocket, getting outside the pocket, making the plays. But I think Diggs has his way a little bit here with the Raiders secondary. So I trust the Bills a little more on both sides of the ball because of the matchup, but I do think they're the better team as well. But it is in Las Vegas. We've seen one time they played in Las Vegas, the Raiders, that is. They beat a pretty good team, the Saints. So that could be the difference here. The Bills are -3, another game that should be pretty good. And then we look at the Eagles and the 49ers. Tough one to pick because you still really don't know who's playing for the Niners. Jimmy Garoppolo's questionable. Guy like Mostert's questionable. Guy like McKinnon's questionable. George Kittle, did I say George Kittle already? He's questionable. A lot of guys are questionable, and a lot of guys are out. I think Drake Greenlaw is even questionable now. But the Eagles did have their fair share of injuries as well. Now they're beat up at receiver, so it makes it even tougher on Wentz when it's already been a tough season here. I think, I still like the Niners still have a very good team even with all these injuries. They're home, prime. This is Sunday nights. It's in San Francisco prime time. Definitely think that helps a lot. And I don't really think it matters too much on the quarterback here. I think the Niners are just the better team. I don't trust Wentz a whole bunch here. They should have got Miles Sanders going a little more. He was playing pretty well last week. I think that was kind of their fault for doing that. So maybe they'll try to do it, but it's gonna be a little tougher to get him going. Not that he can't do it, but against the Niners team here. I look at the interior guys like Kinlaw and Armstead. I think those can be the difference makers here for the Niners. And you see Brandon Ayuk getting in the mix. He's a very solid receiver there. So the Eagles without a couple more receivers as well. There's really just not enough on the Eagles right now. It's up when there's just not enough. It's up to the quarterback to take over, and Carson Wentz just has not been able to do that yet. But it's not really surprising at any given time, no matter who the team is, that he does come up. Big. He does play well. It could happen at any time. And it's not really a surprise, even though it's kind of going to feel like a surprise attack. Oh, there he is. It's going to be like one of those. But it's definitely bound to happen at one point. So this is on Carson Wentz once again. A little tougher test than the Bengals, playing the Niners here. So, yeah, I'd look out for the Eagles actually did get their pass rush going, though. Guys like Brandon Graham, Barnett, Sweat playing pretty good. So that could be the difference. If Mullins is playing, they can kind of rattle him, force him to throw interceptions perhaps. Offenses take advantage of that, though. They really weren't taking advantage of what they did to the Bengals, how much they got after Joe Burrow. This should be I was surprised by 7. The Eagles are +7 against the 49ers, so the 49ers are favored by 7. I was surprised by that much. But I do have the Niners here, mainly a defensive game on Sunday night. Monday night, I got the Packers all over the Falcons, 38-21. The Packers are -7.5, so it's Falcons +7.5 in Green Bay. Why do I like the Packers by this much? You're probably not surprised by the 38-point line for the Packers because that offense is elite right now. Top of the NFL, playing out of their minds, and they're playing a Falcons defense, so they could definitely score 40s. Another team that definitely can get in the 40s. So you're probably not surprised by 38, but I think most people would probably have the Falcons scoring more. I do not, because I think the Packers are going to start off strong, and that's going to force the Falcons to kind of be one-dimensional and be kind of expecting the Packers can unleash their pass rushers. Guys like the Smith brothers, Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, and they sometimes they play with 3 pass rushers. They throw Rashawn Gary in there, so I think they're gonna make the guessing game of defense a lot easier, predictable. Another reason is I think the Packers defense, even though it's been a little underwhelming, a little disappointing, I think it's a pretty good matchup for them because why is the Packers defense struggling a little bit? What's the problem with it? I think it's stopping the run a little bit, especially with Kenny Clark out, stopping the run, filling gaps for linebackers, but big time tackling. And it's a problem, I guess, against any team. But, I think more so against kind of the small ball, quick offenses like the Saints, teams like that, maybe like the Vikings as well. rather than the Falcons. The Falcons want to push the ball downfield. I trust the Packers secondary downfield. I definitely do. This is a good downfield secondary. So I think they can make plays back there for the Falcons. And now the Falcons are 0-3. They're choking away comebacks. So maybe there's gonna be like, the hell with it. Let's just go. Let's get creative here. Let's just attack. I like that against the Bears for the Falcons. I like that last drive until that interception by Matt Ryan. They got on the ball, quick pass, ended up being a big gain. Got on the ball, quick, and they didn't really need to go that quick. They were just doing it because they could. And then Matt Ryan had a receiver wide open, and he just overthrew. It was just a crucial mistake. But if they do things like that, go quick, and you don't have to go super far downfield, then that could be a weakness of the Packers, and then they can put up points, and they potentially can win a game in a shootout. But another team that doesn't really like change, so I just like the matchup all around for the Packers there. So I got them winning 30, taking care of business pretty easy here, 38-21. In the game that's I wasn't really expecting to talk about last, but now it's getting pushed back to either Monday or Tuesday. I'm hoping for Monday. I'm hoping for 2 games on Monday just because that kind of messes with our schedule of uploads. We do our picks every Tuesday night, so everything kind of gets pushed back. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see a game on Tuesday night as well, as long as they do televise it. I would hope so. But I got a squeaker here. Very tight one. I got the Steelers taking care of business by 1 point. Titans won by 1 point last week. I got them losing by 1 point. But the further this game gets pushed back, I think that helps the Titans actually a bit, making it prime time possibly. In Tennessee, I think it actually helps him a little bit, but what doesn't help him is kind of the lack of practice. But it's more just walkthrough stuff anyways, just going over game film, game plan. So I don't think if it really affects the Titans as much as people think. But what does affect the Titans here is Taylor Lewan's injury. I will see if he's out or not. If he's good to go, that actually could change my pick here, because the difference with him in there and without him is pretty big there. Pretty big. But I do think the matchup, this is a game that I can debate myself on. It really is. First glance, first take here. Steelers are the best defense in football right now. I don't think it's really close. They haven't really played the best teams, though. The Titans are a pretty good team. That's a pretty darn good team, darn good offense. But first glance, Steelers are the best defense in football, and what do they do that I love? What you're supposed to do on defense, you stop the run first, you take away the run to make a team one-dimensional, and you do what you do best. You get after the quarterback, and that's game-changing plays if you get after the quarterback, impact plays. And that's what the Steelers do, and that's exactly the perfect game plan for the Titans. You stop Derrick Henry. That takes away not only Derrick Henry, it takes away the play-action pass, makes them one-dimensional. Tannehill's got to throw from the pocket. He's capable of doing so, but not when the house is coming after him. Nobody really is against the Steelers pass rush. So all that being said, it definitely favors the Steelers. You think right off the bat, that matchup favors the Steelers right away. And offensively, I think the corners of the Titans are struggling a little bit with Dory Jackson hurt, and the load, the variety of the Steelers playmakers at the receiver position. They can make plays against the secondary. So another thing that favors the Steelers. Steelers offense even, but the Steelers in general, and they get Anthony McFarland going. I like him a lot. I like his speed. And that's just a rotation running back. But yeah, that all favors Steelers. But if there's a team that can make the Steelers not be able to make you one-dimensional, it'd probably be the Titans, because in order for the Steelers' game plan to kind of go as planned, they got to be able to stop the run first here, which they've been doing better than every team. But if there is a guy that can beat that run stop ability, it is the hardest guy to tackle in football, and Derrick Henry, maybe the best running back in football, the league's leading rusher right now in Derrick Henry. So if he is working, we're going to be able to tell right off the bat in this game. If Derrick Henry is working right off the bat, if they're marching down the field, I'm more confident with the Titans because that will actually open up shots. Now they're going to do the play-action pass. Steelers won't know. Is this a run? Is this a pass? And that'll create the big plays downfield. So as you could tell, I'm debating with myself right now. You can argue both sides here. I just think with Taylor Lewan hurt, and I think Steelers just having the best defense, having the capabilities of, they're not going to stop Derrick Henry, but ability to slow him down and kind of get that pass rush, make that extra play, that big-time game-changing play, and then trusting the Steelers offense a little more even though the Titans offense probably been a little better this year, just for matchup reasons, I'm trusting the Steelers offense a little more here, but and it's not going to, I think a lot of clock's going to come off this game, so that's why it's really not that high scoring of a game, 24-23. And the Steelers are happen to be -1, so I happen to have them winning by 1 too, so definitely not a game I would touch. We'll see what happens, though, who's in, who's out, when they actually play. That could definitely change some things. So another one of those games that go either way. It's a great game too. I love the games that you kind of can argue game plan, argue matchups for both sides. So I'm really looking forward to this game for sure this week. So yeah, that's my score predictions. I do these every single week. Let me know your thoughts. Please smash that like button. Junior has his score prediction on the Patreon. I have my locks bets of the week on the Patreon. Those usually come up either Wednesday night or early Thursday. Appreciate everyone who signed up for that. More to come to that as well. But yeah, all kinds of different videos, power rankings, plenty more fantasy videos on the channel, plenty more to come. So check those out. Please subscribe. We much appreciate it. That is going to do it for this one, though. Thanks everyone for watching. Goodbye.